I had a glorious opportunity to go off at a tangent. You know, I hate being boxed and labelled. So if somebody had just gone, "Ooh, serious drama, ooh," I'd have been a bit disappointed. I'm an actor and I like to be as flexible as I possibly can be. So I was given the opportunity immediately to go and do something really quite wild and wacky. You know, I think I knew that, this was somebody with a lot of power, but far too young really to deal with it. She sort of grew into it, and because I thought of her like an infanta. So, somebody who everybody was kowtowing to and saying yes to, whilst politicking like mad in the background, always knowing that they could easily have their head snipped off on a whim from her, and there'd be nothing they could do about it. So all these sort of bowing and scraping and dancing courtiers. And she was obviously somebody who had crushes, because, let's face it, I don't think she ever did anything of great significance with boys. So I think she had, crushes. It was sort of like the Pony Club and Men in Tights, perfect combo for her. She big, bulbous tights. But it never really, nothing ever came to fruition, so she was always in that sort of suspended state of not quite adolescence, I had a friend at secondary school, and we did have a sort of a language. I think she was largely responsible for initiating it, but I found it very endearing and appealing, and so we would sort of talk. This was secondary school, not junior school, for God's sake. Shoot me now. And we would just talk in this, slightly sweet, little girly kind of way, and slightly whispery sometimes, and sort of just talk like that, and it was like a little baby voice kind of thing. And it's this sort of sense of wonder that I think Elizabeth had. So, that little girl, that little infanta part of her, which was, either directed towards herself, wonder at herself, or wonder at somebody in the court, or wondering in a more general and intellectual way about her empire, because the world was opening up through trade and exploration, and everything was a sense of wonder, was to be celebrated or denigrated in court, So somewhere in my brain, I don't remember thinking those exact thoughts at the time, but it felt right for her, and also allowed her behaviours that, weren't really would otherwise really just be frowned upon, I suppose. She was just... Stephen he's so solid crew, he's fantastic. He's the Queen's ear. He's always there to support the Queen, because if he didn't, he'd get his head cut off. But, he was this venerable bead next to me, with much, much older than his years. His extraordinary gravitas and maturity, that's what I remember. And the height, I remember, his marvellous height. And his presence was sort of adding to the extremes that I was talking about. You've got Nursey, who's sort of practically spherical, and then I'm sort of like this little firework or something in the middle, rough hair and skirt, and Melch is this wonderful, lugubrious long streak of piss next to me. It's fantastic. No, Percy's the long streak of piss, really, isn't he? But I thought it was wonderful, and it reminded me of his character reminded me a bit of something I used to watch all the time, which was Noggin the Nog. There's Thor Nogson. He reminded me a little bit of Thor Nogson, so I was very taken with him.